So, as human beings, we have trouble trying to coexist. People in the real world will say things, they will do things, and write things. And the question is, how can you deal with this on a day to day basis? Well, here are 5 points of things that I do and what you can follow as well. They're very effective. The first one is to just ignore it. Ignore what people will say, what they do, or what they write. Don't pay much attention to that, or what happens on the news, an article on a website, so forth. Don't comment on stories or articles that could challenge your beliefs and get you angry, wasting time from what is important to you. Remember, virtual worlds are not real. Only the real world is real. A person may be a racist and they think that one race should be dominant, but in reality, that won't happen, and their belief is built only in their minds. Here are some examples of ignoring things in the real world. People have always badmouthed Gwyneth Paltrow for one thing or another, like her acting. Well, she doesn't care what you say, do, or write. She will continue doing what is important to her, which hasn't affected her regardless of what haters may say. Another person who gets a lot of bad flack is Michael Bay. Once he said, "I know that critics have been tough on my movies, and that's why I've taken Jerry Bruckheimer's advice. I don't read them, I really don't." Simply put, he is ignoring what people say, do, or write about him in the real world. And he should, because many of his movies bring in serious money, regardless if you hate his movies or not. Another example is with Gabby Douglas, who won a gold medal in the London 2012 Olympics for the all-around event. Well, people were complaining about her hair. Well, she responded that she didn't care what people say about her hair and that nothing was going to change. For her next events, she kept her hair the same because she ignored any comments that came from the real world. Another one is with critics and people who were saying mean things about Carrie Underwood's performance for The Sound of Music live on NBC. She tweeted something very short and simple. Mean people need Jesus. Again, she ignored what people from the real world have said, as she is confident in what she believes in, and that is the most important thing to her within her virtual world. Number 2, you can't effectively change a person's belief. Yes, you can say what you want to say, or do or write some long, inspiring comment to even a nasty comment. But the reality, you can't change what people believe in. And you can't have the real world act under your belief system. Remember, the real world doesn't circle around you, it circles around all of us. It's important to understand that most people will still do what they want to do, regardless of other people's outrage towards something that is hotly debated. Here are some examples. After the horrible events after Sandy Hook, where innocent kids were killed from the worst case of real-world interaction, pro-gun people basically ran to the store buying more guns and ammunition, mostly ammunition, likely anticipating that some gun laws and restrictions was likely to follow shortly after. These actions made a lot of people very upset and started thinking, does America really give a damn? Sandy Hook proved that we have an issue with how guns are controlled in this country and that something must be done. However, the immediate action for some Americans was to buy more guns and ammunition. So these horrible actions has not changed the minds of pro-gun people and what they believe in. Another example, but not very dramatic like Sandy Hook. People were upset and they did not like the logo that was used for the London 2012 Olympic Games. Well, in reality, nothing changed and this logo stayed the same. The outrage of comments didn't change anything. Continuing with the London 2012 Olympic Games, people didn't like the logo of the men's basketball uniforms. Well, nothing changed, and this logo stayed the same. The outrage of comments from the people didn't change anything either. One of my favorites is the backlash towards Netflix a few years ago when two things happened. One, they increased their costs, and two, they wanted to separate their DVD and their streaming business. Well, they later backtracked and they kept DVDs as part of their business. But people and the hated comments just poured in like crazy. People having temper tantrums. And people were band together saying mean things about Netflix, and many of them leaving, making a stand against the company. However, in reality, nothing changed and their business continues to grow. The outrage of comments didn't change anything for the business, including people who have a Netflix account. I have a Netflix account and I saw these comments. That never changed my views or opinions even for a second. I simply ignored it. A lot of people have made comments that they have left their cable provider like Comcast and AT&T, finding cheaper options like Netflix, Hulu, or even using a simple antenna on their television. Many of these comments are like people coming together for others to hopefully follow. However, there are still millions of Americans who love their cable television even though they spend $125 or higher per month. The comments of people leaving cable has not changed or influenced other people who continue to love their cable service. My examples continue with Microsoft's claim against Gmail. Microsoft mentioned that Gmail scans through your personal emails and they deliver ads based on your emails. Well, that could be considered as a serious breach of privacy in some ways, if you think about it. You would think that people would leave Gmail like crazy since privacy seems to be a very hot topic for people today. Nope, that campaign did nothing and millions still remain with Gmail. I know what many of you may be thinking. There have been many people through their words and actions that have changed the world, like Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, MLK, to even Mother Teresa and several others. Yes, they have done remarkable things to change society and they will always be remembered. However, even through their greatness, they have not changed the world as a whole, and evil still exists today. From fighting over petty things like towels, the knockout game, the 9/11 attack, to several school shootings, to racism, being homophobic, and much more. They did not effectively change people's belief systems as a whole. Point number 3, just focus on your goals and the direction you want to head towards. Just ignore what happens around you in the real world and focus on your goals and the things that you are passionate about. Focus on your family, your friends, the organized groups that you are connected with, individuals who share a similar belief framework, and most of all, yourself. Those are things you can change and impact in your life. Number 4, understand that whatever a human being may say in the real world, that they are only human. A person or any organized group's belief system does not speak for the world nor humanity. They're not the boss or the god of everyone. And what we say or believe in is not official or set in stone. Human beings are just flesh and blood. We are born, we live, and we die. Then we're forgotten forever, unless we do remarkable things, like Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., or even Mother Teresa. Understand that you are unique with a belief system that to you is right and the way things should be. However, you are unique, just like everyone else, which will have their own belief system and think that their belief system is right for the world. You are simply just one butterfly among 7 billion other flying around, not recognized or different from the others. And point number 5, make a choice in the things you want to do. It is your life and you control every aspect of your virtual world and your beliefs. You can make a choice in what you want to do, what you want to say, how you want to feel, and what you will stand up for. For example, when you see people do or say or write things like these people, you can choose in how you will react to it. You can ignore it. If you want to comment about it, you can. If you want to feel sad or depressed about it, you can. Or again, you can ignore it because you can't change people and what they believe in. Let's bring all of this together and provide a real-world example that may get under your skin if it is not your belief system. Within the real world, a person named Craig Paul Cobb believes in separation of the colors between whites and black people. He recently discovered that he wasn't pure white and that he has some African heritage within his blood. Whether that is true or not, he still stands by his beliefs. He also wants to turn a town in North Dakota into a place reserved for only white people sharing this belief system. This, as you can imagine, has resulted in heavy debate, like this comment here that was placed by a user showing no identity, that means no consequences, calling himself Joe Daddy. You will also notice the number of people who agreed with Joe's posting, which is 5 people. Now, Joe Daddy comments that he shares the same belief system as Craig Paul Cobb and that he is maybe justifying or protecting his belief system. And from this comment, several debated comments just poured in. Me personally, I looked at this and I just ignored it. But I saw this as a great opportunity to use this for the 5 points on how to deal with an interaction from the real world. So here we go. Number 1, when you see this comment and you are against it based on your belief system, just ignore it and close the page. Don't comment on what he says and don't get angry about it. He is simply speaking from what he believes in within his virtual world. Because the reality, virtual worlds are not real. Black people and white people will continue to coexist, form friendships, and get involved romantically. That is already happening in the real world today. You also might want to consider installing a comment blocker on the web browser that you are using. That way, any comments on websites will basically be removed and you won't have to worry about it and get distracted. This is what I use all the time and it is great. Number 2, you can't effectively change a person's belief. And this goes both ways. For Joe Daddy, he is very confident in what he believes in, and there were several comments with people challenging him that you see here, and he is defending himself and his belief system with follow-up comments, which is not shown here. The bottom line is that these people are not going to change his beliefs or people who share similar beliefs like Craig Paul Cobb. All you're doing is wasting time fighting a battle that would not be won. But guess what? Not changing a person's belief system also applies to you too. Joe Daddy's comment is not going to alter your beliefs. That will not happen, and people are not going to change because of what Craig or Joe Daddy has commented. It certainly hasn't changed what I believe in. Number 3, understand that humans are humans. Joe Daddy's comment and what he believes in does not speak for the world nor humanity. The world is not going to operate under that belief system. Yes, it will operate under an extended virtual world, but not the real world, which really matters. Number 4, what you do instead is to ignore and keep the focus on your goals and what is important to you. Because that you can change and influence. You can't change what Joe Daddy believes in and vice versa for you. Therefore, when you see comments like this, make a choice in what you want to do about it and how you will react to it. You can either ignore it or you can argue it to defend your belief system to the people who will read your comments. But if you do that, then you accept that it will involve time just to do that. But again, it is your choice either way. For me, I simply ignore all of this and focus on what is important to me. Here's a question to ask. Why do people write comments in the first place? Well, there will likely be several reasons based on what is important to each person for why they do it. But people really do it for the following reasons. One, a person is defending their belief system, to provide awareness or information for others to know, to collaborate with others who share the same belief system and values they do, to challenge another person's belief system, which would hopefully lead someone towards their belief system and their way of thinking, to show off or maybe brag about something that is important to the person writing the comment, or number 6, based on hate and to push buttons. Some people who post hate-related comments do what I call a hit and run. This means a person will post a comment on a site but will never return to read any follow-up comments that will likely follow. But again, the biggest reason is for a person to defend and to share their belief system. For example, Joe Daddy's comment. Joe Daddy is likely a conservative in which his beliefs are built on top of. This comment was placed on a liberal, moderate YouTube channel. The question could be, why would a conservative go to a liberal site and post a comment? Well, likely to defend his belief system or to challenge liberals and what they believe in. Let's back up a bit. Craig Paul Cobb was getting a lot of bad press from the media and various sites about what he was preaching about. The negative feedback towards him was basically being critical to that belief system being incorrect. In return, people who support that belief system will stand up and defend what they passionately believe in. Joe Daddy could likely be doing exactly that, defending his belief system. He might even try to change a person's point of view to agree with that belief system. However, once again, no belief system speaks for the world nor humanity. Nothing is going to effectively change regardless of what anyone says. But my favorite case of them all is what Ciara said in an interview, which nicely aligns with the human formula. This model, actress, singer says that all of the nasty comments she sees about her are mainly from people who post comments anonymously, hence posting with no identity revealed and speaking unfiltered. She has said that she doesn't really care about what people say about her and she just ignores it. Actually, if people are spending the time to write nasty comments about her and less with focusing on what is important to them, then what she is doing is creating an impact to those people because they have chosen their valuable time to write the comments in the first place. Plus, she doesn't care because she's getting paid anyway. Basically, she is ignoring all the hate and focusing on what is important to her. If people want to push negativity instead of focusing on their own passions, then the real loser is with them, and not her, who is confident in what she is passionate about. In other words, stop bitching. If you don't have anything positive to say, don't say it. Actually, don't say anything at all, and just focus on the goals and the things that are passionately important to you. Don't waste your time on writing, doing, or saying words that would not effectively change or do anything. Use this particular model and print it out as a reminder for how to react when people in the real world do, write, or say things that are unfiltered. It should remind you why that is happening, ignoring it because you can't change that, and to focus on your goals. And this is where I stop for now. I can add more to this with several examples and how they fit into the human formula. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video that I put together for almost a year. This was something that I wanted to create to help me understand how things are so it can keep me focused on building my business and the other things that are important to me. For me, the things that have been happening in the world, like school shootings and the costumes for Halloween 2013, is like an accident. When there's an accident, people tend to slow down and to look at the accident on the side of the road, getting distracted instead of focusing on the road. Well, this system allows me to to understand that these accidents are going to happen. I can't change that. I can't stop accidents from happening. I can't stop from people dying. I can't do that. But what I can do is to not worry about that and just to stay focused on the things that are important to me, my family, and anything else in between. So once again, I want to thank you. And once again, ignore and stay focused. That's important. Thank you.